In this video, we are going to take a look at the Chicago Sky, who are on the verge of starting their tire fire of a season. Before we start, if you like the content, then please give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. All right, let's get into this. All right, versus the Minnesota Lynx, Chicago Sky center draftee, number 3 pick in the WNBA draft, Kamilla Cardoso, sustained a right shoulder injury. And then after the game, Teresa Weatherspoon, the Sky coach, said she was going to be fine. She had a heart of a lion, but they just took her out to protect her for her better interest.
I saw Kamilla. There was a video posted. She took a spill there. How's she doing? Is she good?
Heart of a lion. She didn't want to come out, but we have to protect her. She's gonna be fine.
But that is not correct, as they held her out prior to the Chicago Sky next game with the New York Liberty and issued a statement saying that she would be out 4 to 6 weeks before she would be reevaluated. Now, I know some are reporting that she will be back in 4 to 6 weeks, but that might be the case, but very likely it won't be the case, because if you take a look at her injury, or actually immediately after her injury, she is sitting down and her shoulder, it appears like it has popped out a little bit, like it's a little bit subluxed. Like the player sits there and tells the trainer, points to her shoulder, and the trainer moves it and it gets back into place. And then you see her run down court, sort of moving it around, saying, "Oh yeah, okay, it's back in. It feels okay." But luckily or precautiously, which was a good thing, they took her out of the game and assessed it, and now she will be out 4 to 6 weeks. What I think is going on is she subluxed her shoulder, and basically they are going to strengthen her muscles up around her shoulder and see how she goes or how stable the shoulder is. But the thing is, if you've dealt with unstable shoulders before, they tend to pop out. Like once you pop it out the first time, it gets looser and looser, and then you do activities over your head and they easily pop out. And essentially, if that happens, when she comes back, they'll assess her and say, hey, is this a stable shoulder or not? Or they might even let her play, and she might get through the season with that shoulder. But I would presume at some stage she will need a shoulder stabilization surgery. It's basically the same thing that Satou Sablis had done after she sustained a shoulder injury when they were playing for the Olympic qualifier against Brazil. So I really give Cardoso about a 50-50 chance of being able to play this season. Now, once you have the surgery, like if she had the surgery now, she would be out for the season, because generally you're in a sling for about 6 weeks. And then it's about a 6 to 9 month recovery before you're able to return to full contact sport. For instance, with Satou Sabally, they haven't given a determined time frame for her return to the Dallas Wings. I think she might be gone for the season. Is when I look at the calendar, she had her surgery in February. She would be 6 months around August, and I just can't see them bringing her back in August to go straight into the playoffs. Not to mention that she will be an unrestricted free agent going into the 2025 season, and I don't think she will be keen to take that risk to push her shoulder before it is really fully healed. And as well, just knowing her injury history as well, I think she wants to go into unrestricted free agency totally healthy. But back to the Sky, this injury to Cardoso, if she is indeed out for the season, if that gets confirmed in 6 weeks' time, it's really devastating, as the main aim of this season was to see how much that Cardoso and Angel Reese would develop, as they're obviously the future of that organization, is they really don't have anything else on their roster. And yes, they have Marina Mabrey, but Mabrey's not, like, Mabrey's a number 2 or a number 3. She's not a player that can get her own shot or a franchise type player. She's just a really good piece with a lot of pieces on that team that are not very good, unfortunately. The one thing that the injury to Cardoso will do is it's going to let us see how Angel Reese will manage at the 5 spot, because they put her in at the 5 in the preseason game, and she did okay against Jonquel Jones, but long term, is that a sustainable strategy? I'm not sure. It could be, because she has an ability, Angel Reese has an ability to be off balance and get her shot off, and it looks like for all the money, it's not going to go in, and it goes in. She has that unique talent to do that, and it'll be a way for her to initially get on the court, because that's probably her best spot, is being an undersized 5 at the point until she proves that she can move her game further outside and is a threat from the outside with her shot. And I know when you talk about Angel Reese, it's very polarizing. Some people think she's the best. Some people think she's the worst and overrated, and it goes on and on. I'm in the middle. I think she does some things that are really, really good. Her rebounding, her ability to get offensive rebounds is fantastic. My question is as she goes against bigger players, will she be as effective as an offensive rebounder? And will she develop a consistent outside shot? Because if she doesn't, then she's really limited to being an undersized 5 or a power forward with no shot that limits the team's spacing. But on the other hand, if she can play the 5 effectively, in addition to her outside shot, if it develops, then you have a potential superstar player, as she will be able to go inside and outside and truly dominate as she can handle the ball as well. And obviously that was the risk reward of this pick and why Chicago moved up to get her. But their GM, Jeff Pagliacca, who was under James Wade, he paid a huge price to move up one pick, as essentially he gave the swap rights to their 2026 first round pick, which is devastating because they're going to be bad next year, but they will get the Phoenix Mercury's pick in 2025, but they're still going to be bad presumably in 2026, and he gave that pick the swap rights to the Minnesota Lynx. Now, prior to the draft, I thought the Chicago Sky were figuring it out, as the trade for Copper, it got them draft capital back that James Wade traded away. And some people scoff at the draft, but you shouldn't. The top 4 picks are valuable because you can usually get a starter, and then if you're not very good, you can play the tank game and hopefully get a franchise player like the Indiana Fever have done. The Seattle Storm have played the tank game twice, getting Lauren Jackson and getting Breanna Stewart.
Well, you got to get the number 1 pick. That's pretty much what this conversation is, let's be honest. I'm not encouraging tanking. I understand this is not what you want to have happen, but I can name maybe 2 teams that have ever had success, like going to the finals, winning a championship, that don't have a number 1 pick on them or don't have, multiple top 3 picks. I think women's basketball, given that we only have 12 teams, I also think women's basketball, when you have special talent, that's when you win. You win a championship because you have a player like Stewie on your team. You win a championship because you have a player like Lauren on your team. See, I keep eating this. You win championship because you have players like Diana Taurasi or Maya Moore on your team. It's kind of the sad truth. And I feel really lucky that, I've played with multiple. I've played with, 2 franchise, epic, Hall of Fame, legendary players. That's how you win, and it's really difficult to do it otherwise. The teams that have so much credit, and I think a lot of that's when things like free agency come into play, and that's when you can put together and find the pieces. But generally speaking, you need that one. You need that one.
And I thought after the Copper trade, okay, well done, Chicago, making up for the James Wade mess. You're going to get the 2025 pick of the Phoenix Mercury, who are going to be a tire fire. That's what I believe we'll see. And then you would have your pick in 26. Obviously, you'd have another rough season, but then you'd have 4 core players, and you would strike on a few of those players. But then Chicago gave up the 26 to take the big risk on Reese, and that she will develop an outside shot and be a superstar. And essentially, they've drafted the same player, 2 bigs that can't shoot or stretch the floor, when they could have taken Rickea Jackson at the number 3 pick and had 2 different players to fill in the spots over the next 3 years. So effectively, Chicago's doing like a semi-tank rebuild. It's like being half pregnant. You can't do it. You either need to go all in like the Indiana Fever have done, or the LA Sparks have done, or you need to go the other way, the James Wade way, that will occasionally work, or how the Seattle Storm have done it as well and rebuild through free agents. Now, I know in the comments some are going to come at me and say I'm an Angel Reese hater, and I'm not. I think there's a chance that she could turn into a star, and if she does, then the Chicago Sky have won the gamble. But overall, I think it was too big of a risk to take, and I think if you're a fan, you would much rather the future of the LA Sparks in 2026-27 versus being a Chicago Sky fan, as I just think it's going to be a real rocky road for the next 4 to 5 years. By all means, leave your hate below. Let's see if Cardoso actually returns in 6 weeks or not, and you can come back and mock me as well. Let's see. This video will stay up. We can see where the Chicago Sky are coming 2026-27. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a good night.